Hi everyone. I am taking a break for just a little bit from doing the Music Man costumes. Actually, I am 2 years behind in getting videos up on YouTube. I just started my channel as of this video of having 8 videos up right now on my vlog. I'm making this one in 2023 for the 2023 challenge, a couple Halloween challenges that might be out there to help get my channel out and running. Then Music Man will probably be like 3-4 months down the road of getting them on my vlog, because I'm that far behind in getting all the videos out on my vlog. But I'm hoping if jumping into some of these challenges, I might get my videos seen by other people. So right now I'm going to jump in and do a couple Halloween costumes. Two of my kids and I participate in a haunted theater in our town. And this year I'm going to be the evil queen. So only decided that last week. So last Friday, and today is Thursday, something like that. And I'm now starting on the costume. I have about a week until the first night of the haunted theater. During that time, today is Thursday, Friday and Saturday, I'm busy helping with a harvest festival in town. Sunday is, of course, Sunday, and we're going to try to get a bunch of stuff accomplished besides going to church and a couple of things. We're going to try to do some stuff around here. And Monday, Tuesday, I'm working. So have very little time to work on this costume other than late in the evenings, which I probably will do. But I'm taking a lot of shortcuts. I'm making a little bit of the costume, but not all of it. So let me show you what I have. Last year for Halloween, I made my son a executioner costume. He's lost the hood for it. It was a separate piece of the hood, but we still have the tunic. So I'm going to start off with the base of my costume with this black tunic. Ugh, black is not one of my colors, and this is inside out. Oh no, the facing is just stuck inside out. So I have this black tunic. It's really big. It's going to be really big on me, but it has long flappy sleeves, which I think will work. Then I have a piece of this purple fabric. It's not a lot, but I think it'll work. I'm going to make a tunic front for it. Very basic tunic. It just, it's a pattern I made for a play that we did, and I haven't even gotten those videos up and out yet. So, but it's for Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was the tunic that I made all the base costumes for the wives out of. So it has to be worn over a big tunic, and it just, how do I explain it? It just lays over the neck. So there's a front piece and a back piece, and it can meet in the sides if you want. So I might tie and do ties across the side, but I'm gonna make that out of the purple fabric. And then I have this costume, which has a collar on it for the white collar. So I'm gonna make a white collar and attach it to the back of the tunic. Then I have a lot of black in this costume. I bought a black cape at the dollar store for $5. How can you beat that? I probably will do a little bit of lining on it with some red fabric I have, if I have time. If I don't have time, no big deal. And then I don't know how I'm going to do the headpiece. If I figure out how to do a headpiece, or if I buy one and my adventures of shopping this Friday. Friday's the only day I have to shop for anything I need for Halloween, anything I need for the Music Man costumes that I'm making for a Music Man performance that is further down the road from this video. And then, yeah, so I'll see what I can find. I might end up making something. I don't have a ton of black fabric around my house looking black fabric. I did not know black was going to be the #1 fabric that I had to keep in stock, but I'll probably buy some black fabric this weekend and figure out that. So what I don't accomplish today will probably get accomplished late Monday night or Tuesday night. This is a velvet, fake velvet, but it does have a feel to it, a directional pattern. If you push your hands this way, it's very smooth. If you go this way, it's very, very rough. So I'm thinking it's the same on the back. Yeah, right. It's the same on the back because it's the way it's folded in half. So I want to make sure the top's up here and the bottom's down here. This is a one-size-fits-all tunic. And since I don't have enough length to put it on the fold, I'm just going to open up completely, because you can, if you have like 2 lengths worth, you can put them on the fold. And if I folded this correctly, I probably still could do that, but I don't need to. It's one piece. So my only question is, are all my tape measures? I have 4 tape measures in this house. I don't need it to wrap all the way around me. In fact, I'm thinking if it just goes like that, which is 18 inches, I can fold folded it too much. Just gonna leave it like that. Gonna leave it like that. Cut a 1/2 inch off the side so that I can have a good fold over. For the sides, and then it'll just be a drop, and then I will connect it. Trying to think of how I want to connect it on the sides. I was thinking buying some ribbon and putting like eyelets just for a section of it, and stringing down string down the side. Could use bias tape, could use string, ribbon. Ribbon might be the easiest thing to buy. If I don't have any ribbon over there, that would be fun to use. But I think that's how I'm going to pull the sides together. Right here is just putting eyelets on both sides and having some fun decorative stringing right there. That's the color. I don't want it to be black because I want to bring in more color. Maybe I'll even go, I could go red because red accents for the Evil Queen and that. Okay, so I need facing for this. So I'm going to take this piece of fabric . Mark how long I need it for the facing to sit on. Now that I think about this, I don't think the collar is going to be able to sit on this. I think it'll be too low. I'll have to try this on and see. Once I get the shoulders sewn together, put it on and see where it lays. I might have to sew the collar onto the cape. And I was going to tuck in the hood of the cape anyways. I didn't want to take the hood off, but I don't necessarily want the hood for my costume. But I might end up taking the hood off and just sewing the white hood, collar kind of thing onto the cape. Okay, so what if this is worth saving to do something else with some other day? So I'm going to go ahead and sew the two shoulder seams. Got to change thread on my machine. So the two shoulder seams together and the shoulder seams on the collar together too. Did not do my hair today. Looks awful. Okay, so here is the tunic. Shoulder seams sewn. Let's put it on the right sides out, shall we? It's got a lot of holes in this fabric. So, like, I don't know if you can see through and see the holes, but there are holes there. Oh my goodness. Shoulders up on the shoulder seam. Okay, so see that right there just skews Evil Queen purple. So perfect. I don't think I need it any lower here. Feels so nice. I like the feel of this. It just feels so fun. It goes just to below my knees. So I feel like that is perfect. The black tunic goes all the way to the floor. So now it's to put the facing on. I didn't put any inner facing on, and I don't know that I want or need to. It's just a costume. If it was an everyday dress or something, I probably would be really, oh, I have to put interfacing in, but I probably won't do that. So here's the facing piece. I'm going to go ahead and serge the outside line with, I have black thread on my serger right now. I have to change it tonight to white thread. So while it's black thread, I'm going to run this through the serger really quick, and then I'll pin it to the neck hole, and I'll show you that when I get back. Okay, so when you put facings in, especially circular facings like this, they don't lay out flat. You can't really get it to lay out flat. So you're just gonna have to work it by hand. So I start with the 2 shoulder seams. And I always put my pins this way, so straight down, so they come out, that when you sew they're aiming out, because then that way it doesn't matter what side of the fabric you put the pin in at, the knobby part of the pin is sticking out, and so you can get it either way as you're sewing, and you're not worried about the pins being on the wrong side of the fabric, or I started them the wrong direction heading. Because of directional sewing, a lot of times I don't pin the same way I'm going to sew. So this way it makes it stay. And you just need to be careful doing this, and don't stretch too much, because you are at a circle. This will stretch a lot, so you can stretch your sides unevenly. This is a good example of that. Like there I have a bunch of gapping there because the one side has stretched too much. So I just kind of ease it out with this fabric. This fabric is so weird. It starts to roll. Really funny on me as I'm sewing, especially when I'm trying to sew a hem. That rolling of fabric, oh, it just drives me crazy. So there I have it all pinned in. I'm going to sew it, and then I'll come back and show you clipping it and turning it right side out. When you're doing a facing like this, or any facing, it needs to be done in steps. It's very important to do things in steps. So I have the facing sewn on. Now I'm going to clip it at the curves. And you're just going to take a really good sharp pair of scissors, and you're going to clip it. If I can do this without poking me in the eye. You're going to clip it right to that stitch line. Just every few inches, all around where it curves. I like to lay it down to do this because it will work a lot faster. Let me move you down so you can see it. So we're just going to come in, go around the loop. And this is how you're going to get it to lay down really nicely. And not have it turn too much inside out around while you're wearing it or putting it on. Then your next step is to press it. And you're going to press it very differently. You're going to press it to where everything is pressed towards the facing. Everything's pressed. And if you look, because you have snipped it, it'll lay flat in a curve. Okay, here we have the tunic, and this is the facing. So what we're going to do is, here's where I trimmed. We're going to press it all this way. So we're going to press right here, and we're going to press it all. So the part underneath, the seam allowance and the facing are all going to be pressed this way. And then we're going to do what's called an understitch and stitch the facing to the seam allowance right there. Right along there. So, okay, so I did the understitching. So you can see the stitch line right there. Now, we're just going to press it. And with that understitching, it allows it to press really nicely. And then that facing will stay flat. So I got it all pressed. So it's all pressed right there. Now on the outside seams, so this outside seam, I'm going to run some purple bias tape. I think this is enough for the two outsides. And then I have this purple bias tape that I'm going to do along the bottom. You have it sitting on this mannequin. It's the mannequin's a little small, but it lays nice. Here we have the bias tape. And the reason I use the bias tape is this is going to have grommets put in it, eyelets, and we're going to lace it up on the side. So that's the main reason I wanted to use the bias tape. I ran out of purple. I used purple on the side and I ran out of purple. So I ended up using black on this side. And then I have large hems on the bottom to help weigh it and hold it down there at the bottom. So if you can see, I have the wider hem in hopes that it'll help it weigh it down. So now I'm going to work on the collar for my costume. I have this pattern here, and it has a little collar. And it's just one piece. I just need one piece. You cut 4 of these out of fabric, and I have this white, I don't know, weird linen, probably a curtain lining fabric. It's really kind of weird. So I'm going to do 4 of this and 4 pieces of interfacing. And I have really stiff, heavy interfacing that I'm using. It is It's this brand that I get from Walmart. I just buy it in these rolls, but I have heavy stuff. This is the mid-weight, and this is featherweight, and I know I have a heavyweight in my drawer, but it's not in a package. So I'm going to use the heavyweight and cut 4 out of each, and then I'll be right back. I have the pattern pieces cut out here. I have 4 of the fabric. And so here's the fabric. Here's 2 pieces. And then I have 4 of the interfacing. And so this is pretty thick interfacing. It's supposed to be iron on, but I can never tell with this thick stuff which side's the iron, fusible. So I'm gonna treat it like unfusible and sew with it on. So I cut it the exact same size and get it into the seam allowance. And then I will trim it off out of the seam allowance, like trim it and do all the curve cutting and everything. And then once I turn it right side out, I will go ahead and iron it at that point. And then it'll iron to wherever, and it'll stick to whatever. I don't know which way it'll do. So basically, you're going to take the 4 pieces. It would work better if it was ironed on. I mean, it would stay together better, but it doesn't. So you're going to take interfacing on the outside, the 2 pieces of fabric, and where they're the same, I don't need to worry about right sides or wrong sides. And then another piece of interfacing. And we're going to sew this center line together on both of them. And then we'll trim out the interfacing. And then we should press, and then I'm going to try to just press the seam in case I don't have the fusible interfacing on the right side. I'll put a piece of paper towel down on my ironing board so I don't iron it to my ironing board, and just carefully press that seam. In fact, I might even bring my camera over and show you how I'm going to press that seam after I sew it. So I'm going to sew that down real quick. My iron is heating up, starting to get warm. I have my pieces of my collar that I sewed right along here. Because I don't know which way the interfacing might be sticky, I have a piece of paper towel down protecting my ironing board. And then I have a piece of paper over it. You could use cloth. I just happen to have paper towels here. And I'm going to open my seam, press it just with my hands, just a little. Make sure I know where that seam is, and just come in with my iron. So nothing ironed on down, so this might not be iron-on interfacing. But, so again, we're going to take this piece, open it up. Press the seams open. Put this paper towel down on top. It's mainly to protect my iron. I hate getting the sticky stuff on my iron. And then press it just at that seam. And so there, it's ironed on good. Now, because this is the back seam, I'm not going to trim this down because I'm not worried about it. I want it to be stiff. So I'm not going to trim this down. I'm going to leave all that in there to help give it the sturdiness of stepping up. But now I'm going to take right sides together and sew around, oops, can you see it? Where am I at? Sew around all 3 sides. So this side, all the way around, and this side. So I'm going to sew around this side, all the way around, and this side. Okay, so I got it all sewn together. So now I'm just going to go along and with not my good scissors. These are sewing fabric scissors. They're not my best ones. I'm just going to, I don't want to go all the way to the seam because I don't want it to rip, but I just want some of that bulk out of there. So I'm going to go along and trim off that interfacing and just the interfacing. I don't want to trim off. I did such a small seam allowance that I don't need to trim the fabric. So I'm just going to trim the interfacing off of both sides. So as you can see, I'm just trimming the interfacing. Can't do it holding it this way. And then once I get the interfacing off, you do, because it's the curved edge, we're going to clip every inch or so. You just go straight in and clip. So that curve will lay right. What it does is when you go to press it and open it, it just opens up that curve. So then it'll lay right when you iron it and press it. Oh, got such baggy eyes today. So I'm going to do this, turn it over and press it, and then I'll show it to you. And I'm planning on sewing this onto the cape. I'm going to take the hood off the cape and sew it on to the cape. So I'll be right back. Turned around, and because I clipped this, it lays so nice. So now I'm just going to put it down and iron it, really get all those wrinkles out. I'm going to do both sides, just iron really well. Pressing is key. If you don't press, people can tell. So that's nice and crisp, but it definitely was not iron-on interfacing because it's not stuck to anything. It's not stuck to itself. It's not stuck to the fabric. Definitely not iron-on interfacing. But look, it stands up all on its own. Okay, I'm jumping all over the place because I left my costume in town yesterday and my son's bringing it back to me now. So I'm just jumping around and working on what I can until I get the rest of my costume so I can fix it. So I have the collar done. And next I was working on the hood. And I want that widow's peak, you know, kind of thing with the hood. So I was looking through my patterns to see if I could find anything to make my life just a little bit easier by using a pattern. And I found this pattern that I had. It's a baby pattern. I made it for my nephew when he was like 1. So it's kind of funny that I'm using this. But it has the widow's peak. But because it was meant to be a stuffing and there was an inner and an outer layer, it's huge, even for a baby. So where I'm going to make it just the one layer, it's the perfect size. So surprisingly. So here's the centerpiece with the widow's peak. And then here's the side pieces. And, oh, it's this way. This is the side, the top. So this is the side pieces that'll go like How does it sew together? I'll have to see. Does it go that way? No, it has to go this way because that's what meets. Anyways, so I'm going to sew, that will be the hood. And then I wanted to add some red on the inside of the cape to give it more of a red flare. So I have these napkins that somebody gave me. Oh, I only grabbed 3. If one, I'll probably. And I'm going to I think I'm just going to do this width all the way around the side and the bottom and the side of the cape, just to have a little bit of red flare there. I don't think I'm going to completely line it 100% red, but I'm going to go ahead and stitch a bunch of these, like cut them in half so it's just that length. And so I sewed a bunch of these napkins together. I have 4 of them. I'm going to place them along the bottom of the back of the cape. And we're just going to pin it all the way across and then sew it together. And then I have 2 half ones that I'm going to then take and sew on the top of it. So I'm going to sew it along the top sides, and then once I have it pinned, I will show it to you, and then once I have it sewn, I'll show it to you. Oh, snagging. So I have the red all lined in there, all around the bottom and the sides. And now before I head over to the sewing machine, I'm going to put on one more thing, which is the collar. So we know where the center of the collar is. Trying to figure out the best way to put this on. I'm just going to top stitch it down. I have that pinned on. We're just going to stitch it down and then stitch everything else down, and the cape will be done. Well, as you see, I got the cape finished with the collar on it. I thought I did the center, but it didn't quite go center. It's all right. Now I'm going to take the hood from it and try to make the hat for the Evil Queen with the art, with the point. Now, I didn't know how to draft this pattern. I couldn't think about how to do it. I'm in short amount of time. So I went and found this pattern. It has the little peak for, to have the arch down. And I pulled out the pattern pieces and they're huge. I don't know how this was ever gonna fit a baby, but it's like the perfect for me. So I'm trying to figure out where I have this existing hood, how to make it work. So I have, but this, you know, has that funny point in the back. And I just want it to have the peak and a round thing. So I think what I'm gonna do is just, so this piece is the side, And this piece is the part that goes right down the front. But I'm trying to figure out how to just take this existing thing that I have and kind of make it work. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is round that corner out. I just don't know which part's the front and which part's the back of this. This is the grain line. So I'm going to cut this right here. I'm just going to cut that out. And then I'm going to taper these side pieces in just a little because I think they come too much here. And this fabric is one that you don't have to hem. So I don't know if I want to hem it or not. Or put anything along the side, but I think if I were to put something like bias tape or something, it would hold it and hold the shape better. I'm trying to flatten this out. Okay, where's the, let me mark. I can't find the end. I might have to cut away more of that. So let's mark. That fits good there. Okay, let me sew this part here and then put it on. And then I'm going to trace on one side where my ear is. Because I think I'm then just going to like, I don't know if I'm gonna bind it with anything or not, because I also have a crown that I can put on that'll help hold that down. So I'll put my hair back, sew this piece here down, and then see if I can then get that shape that I want. And I'll probably just put I don't know what I'll put there to hold it down, because then my cape will go over it. So I'm gonna sew that up and I'll be right back. So here we are. I don't think I want to put anything like to bind it or to hem it. I'm trying to make it center, and I'm going to put like a snap right here. And then the collar will come up over it. And then I have a crown that'll sit over it. So I think I just need to make sure all my hair's pulled back with hairspray, which I don't do very often. But I think that's the mark. So I'm going to mark right here and right here to put my snaps. And then the hood is done. So when I had this on last night, the facing just did not stay down. It would not stay down. And then it kept coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this facing down here. So I'm going to pin it all down. I have to change the thread on my machine again. And sew this facing all the way down. I usually don't like to sew it down here, but this just is not staying, and I do not like it. So I'm going to go ahead, and then I'm going to get the black tunic on, and then I'm going to just tack it to this 2 spots at the sleeve, because I think that'll make it then stay out where it needs to be. So I'm just going to pin this all the way around, change the thread on my machine again. And then okay, so I'm going to sew this down. Then I'm going to find a snap and put a snap in there. I've sewn the facing down, and I've marked where I want the top grommet, eyelet, whatever you want to call it, to be. What are they called? Grands eyelets, large eyelets. So you need eyelets, and then you need an eyelet setter, and it's a 2-piece, 3-piece thing. So you have your hole maker, and then these 2 things together push your eyelet down, and then a hammer of some sort. That's what you need. So I'm going to mark where I want them. So I've pinned one of them. So I'm going to mark that spot, and I'm going to go gonna need a different ruler. Let's go 1.5 inches between them. And I'm gonna put 4 in. And then I'm gonna copy it here. And then here. I will find a hammer and something to put underneath. When you make the hole, you need something underneath it. Yeah, I don't have enough of these silver ones, so I'm going to use these bronze ones that I bought. I need something underneath, and then I will film doing it, but I'll probably cut the sound out because it is very loud. Okay, I got it figured out. Every time I do this, I have to remember how to do this. So I have a hole punch. I'm going to make 2 holes right next to each other for each spot that I marked. So they're like a connected hole. I just need it to be, we need it to be that big to get the grommet through. Okay. And then with the set that I bought, the other thing is you have to be very strong, and I'm not strong enough. I always have to have my husband help me do this. So you're going to take the part that's taller, put it on some sort of base. Mine has a hole in it, which works. It's a grommet kit that I bought years ago. And then you take the smaller piece and go around the outer piece. And then you have your setter piece, which has a hole in it, which goes right over that. And then you need to smack the crap out of this and do it evenly. And I find the heavier hammer, the better. I'll mute this part out for you. And there it is, nice and done and loud. And I have to go over the center of my table because these are the wings that flap off. So if I'm not in the center, I feel like I'm not secure enough on my table. That one's not very pretty, but it'll work. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest of these.